Salut tout le monde et bienvenue au balado des Alouettes de Montréal. C'est un balado d'avant-match. What's up, everybody? Joey Alfieri here. We are with the Pregame podcast. That's right. It means that we have football, real life football. On a un match de football qui s'en vient samedi, 19h30 au stade Percival Molson. Premier match hors concours 2024 pour les Alouettes de Montréal. On a déjà eu un match. Plus tôt cette semaine, je pense que c'était lundi, la première semaine préparatoire dans la Ligue canadienne de football entre les Blue Bombers et les Rough Riders. Donc, mais c'est un horaire chargé pour la Ligue canadienne de football samedi. 4 matchs, un après l'autre. Et il y en a une couple qui sont pas mal en même temps. Donc, ça devrait être intéressant. Les Alouettes et les Argos, c'est le dernier match de la soirée. On va passer d'anglais à français, français à anglais. On a une couple d'entrevues avec deux joueurs aussi. On va parler à Isaac Adeyemi-Berglung, le nouveau venu des Alouettes. Il est rendu membre des Alouettes après 3 saisons avec les Stampeders de Calgary. Et c'est un petit gars des Maritimes qui parle français. Donc, assez intéressant. On va en apprendre plus sur Isaac Adeyemi-Berglung. Et aussi, on parlera en anglais à Davis Alexander, le corps arrière substitut des Alouettes qui commence sa 3e saison en tant que professionnel. Donc, comme vous pouvez le constater, on va commencer en français, on va passer en anglais. So we're going to start in French, and then we'll move on to English. So if you only understand English, well, then listen to the French and see if you can pick up any words or at least sentences. But if not, don't worry, we've got an English portion of the pregame show coming up back to back right here on the Al's Podcasting Network. Alors, premier match hors concours samedi. De ce qu'on voit de la charte des positions, il y a beaucoup de joueurs réguliers. Les partants vont jouer de ce qu'on voit, de ce qu'on comprend. On parle de Cody Fajardo, de Phil Pott, de Julian Grant, de Tyler Snead. Il y a plusieurs joueurs qui vont jouer. Même chose en défensive, pas mal. Tu as Sean Lemon qui va jouer, Sankey, Stubblefield, Beverett, Ento, Dequoy en défensive aussi. Je pense que il y a une logique très simple avec tout ça. Euh, c'est que si on regarde le calendrier, on voit que la semaine prochaine, les Alouettes vont jouer vendredi prochain à Ottawa, leur dernier match hors concours. 6 jours plus tard, il faut qu'ils commencent la saison à Winnipeg jeudi. Donc, c'est déjà semaine courte. Donc, d'habitude, on voit les partants jouer un peu moins lors du premier match pré-saison, mais ils vont jouer peut-être un peu plus lors du deuxième match. Je pense que ça devrait être l'inverse côté des Alouettes. Si je me trompe pas, on va voir, peut-être qu'on va voir un peu, peut-être d'habitude, ça serait 1 ou 2 séquences à l'attaque pour Cody Fajardo. Peut-être que c'est un peu plus maintenant. Donc, c'est ça. Donc, j'ai hâte de voir ce que ça va donner. Mais je pense que vous allez voir, et les partisans à Montréal sont chanceux parce que le premier match hors concours est à Montréal. Donc, euh, de cette façon-là, ils vont voir plus de réguliers. Hâte de voir comment tout ça va se dérouler. Les joueurs qui ne seront pas en uniforme pour ce match. En défensive, on a Najee Murray, Wesley Sutton et Tyrell Richards qui sont pas en uniforme. En défensive, Mustafa Johnson aussi et Dylan Wynn. Donc, ça fait une coupe de pratique de suite. Pour Richards, je pense pas que c'est rien de sérieux. Tu sais, dans tous ces cas-là, de ce que je peux voir, je pense pas que c'est sérieux. Najee Murray et Wesley Sutton ont raté euh, plusieurs jours, là. Ils n'ont pas joué dans le match intra-équipe non plus. Mustafa Johnson, ça fait une coupe de pratique qui manque. Même chose pour Tyrell Richards. Mais il devrait être en mesure de jouer ce match, le dernier match pré-saison, je pense. Mais on va voir ce que ça va donner. On n'a pas vraiment, Jason Moss ne donne pas vraiment de mise à jour sur les blessés, donc c'est difficile à dire. Côté attaque, on a Frédéric Antoine, la recrue qui a pas mal raté presque tout le camp d'entraînement. À date, je pense qu'il a pratiqué les une ou deux premières pratiques, mais lui, il n'est pas en mesure de jouer. Reggie White Jr. ne jouera pas non plus. Et Shedler Furvius, le receveur canadien, s'est blessé il y a une couple de jours lors d'une pratique. Donc, il y a quand même 8 joueurs qui ne sont pas disponibles pour ce match-là. Mais il devrait avoir beaucoup de joueurs réguliers qui vont jouer selon la charte des positions. Évidemment, côté demi-offensif, Walter Fletcher, Josh Renantwi, Sean Thomas Arlington seront en uniforme avec les nouveaux venus Scott, Weber et Herzog aussi dans la formation. Côté receveur, on en a parlé un peu, mais Phil Pott, Julian Grant, Tyler Sneed, Cole Speaker et Tevin Jones vont jouer. Donc, c'est ça les receveurs partants. Donc, encore une fois, on ne sait pas combien de répétitions, combien de séquences à l'attaque ces joueurs-là vont jouer, avec Fajardo, évidemment. Mais on sait qu'ils vont jouer un peu plus, ou on pense qu'ils vont jouer un peu plus qu'ils auront joué d'habitude lors des autres calendriers préparatoires. C'est comme j'ai mentionné. C'est juste le fait que ces semaines courtes dans 2 semaines, quand ça compte à Winnipeg le 6 juin. OK. So we'll just get you caught up really quickly here in English as we're going to get to our first interview in half English, half French. So the depth chart is out for the Montreal Alouettes. As we mentioned, there's going to be, I think most of the starters will play a little bit longer than they typically would in a first preseason game. But yeah, I think it's only because of the way the schedule is laid out this year. Because typically, usually starting quarterback will get a series or two when it comes to the first preseason game. But I think because the Alouettes play their final preseason game next Friday in Ottawa, and then they have the quick turnaround the following Thursday against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, I think they're probably going to rest most of their guys for that game. In an ideal world, I don't even know if Fajardo and some of the other starters make the trip to Ottawa and even suit up. So I think that's the way it'll play out. We'll see. That'll probably be confirmed, during the game on Saturday and then the following week early on. But yeah, I think I like the way that Tampa's shaped up, and it'll be interesting. So, mentioned it in French, but we'll be talking to Isaac Adeyemi-Berglung, who will be joining us momentarily here, and he's a guy from the Maritimes who speaks French. So we'll start the interview in French, we'll conclude in English, and then we'll come back. We'll get you set up a little bit more for this game against the Toronto Argonauts on Saturday at Percival Molson Stadium, and then we'll hear from Davis Alexander. So here is Isaac Adeyemi-Berglung. On commence notre première entrevue avec Isaac Adeyemi-Berglung. Et comme j'ai mentionné, c'est un gars des Maritimes, mais il a appris le français. Donc, j'y demande où est-ce qu'il a appris à parler le français. Voici sa réponse.
J'ai appris le français dans une classe d'immersion français au Nouvelle-Écosse. Aussi dans Cégep, Champlain-Lennoxville, à Sherbrooke. Avec mes teammates, je ne sais pas le mot pour teammate, mais
coéquipiers.
Coéquipiers, oui. Ouais. Dans la pratique et pendant les classes françaises à Cégep.
Parce que t'es quand même très bon, t'as un petit accent québécois aussi là mais quand même c'est très bon. Est-ce que tu peux me parler de ton parcours? Où est-ce que tu as grandi exactement? Comment est-ce que tu as commencé à jouer au football? T'avais quel âge? Et juste parle-moi un peu de ton parcours dans la vie.
Je commence le football au école secondaire. Pendant c'est pas le je ne sais pas le mot pour
what?
For grade 10.
En 10e année.
10e année à l'école à Halifax et Halifax, Nouvelle-Écosse. Puis, what was the other question?
Comment est-ce que tu as commencé à jouer au football et c'était quoi ton parcours? Comment tu as mentionné que tu es allé à Champlain et tout ça?
Oui, Champlain, il y a un homme qui allait au Champlain devant moi. Puis chaque été, il prend comme 5 garçons à Champlain pour un camp d'été. Et oui, il prend moi puis 4 autres garçons de Nouvelle-Écosse. Et c'est ça.
Pour les amener au Québec, à Champlain.
Oui, pour le camp d'été. Et puis après ça, j'ai comité au Champlain.
Wow.
Oui.
OK, ça, c'est très bon. On va continuer en français, si tu me permets. Comment tu trouves ton premier camp avec les Alouettes après 3 années à Calgary? Comment tu trouves ça?
Il y a beaucoup plus de coaching et la pratique, il y a beaucoup plus de jeux. Je pense que c'est correct. Jeux par jour. Je pense que en une journée, on joue comme...
On a fait plus de jeux. Tu parles des jeux individuels.
Oui. Jeux individuels.
Oui.
Comme 180 dans une journée. Puis c'est... En Calgary, on fait comme 30 jeux par jour.
Wow.
Oui, alors c'est beaucoup plus. Je pense que c'est beaucoup plus de jeux par journée. Mais les joueurs puis les coachs sont
C'est l'anglais. C'est un podcast franglais, là. On parle les deux.
Oui, c'est amazing.
Okay. Incroyable, le coaching est incroyable.
Incroyable. Les petits détails sont incroyables ici, avec des coachs ici.
All right. This is pretty good. And I use English words all the time, by the way, just so you know.
I didn't know. I didn't know if I was stuck in the.
Okay. Sometimes I can't come up with the right word. I think you're doing really well. I think we're going to keep going with this. Mais je trouve que il y a certains vétérans, parce que là, je te considère un vétéran, mais il y a certains vétérans qui essaient de survivre une pratique, de progresser dans une pratique. Mais toi, je trouve que à chaque fois que je regarde le numéro 91, tu pratiques comme your hair's on fire. Tu pratiques intense. Est-ce que c'est une mentalité que tu as toujours eue?
Oui. Je pense que c'est une caractéristique que c'est toujours là pour moi. Au Calgary, c'est la même chose. Parce que j'ai commencé au Calgary sur tous les special teams.
Oui.
Et en pratique, c'est une caractéristique qui je sais pas, comme makes me stand out.
Yeah.
Tu peux voir sur le film, moi...
L'effort.
Ouais. L'effort, comme l'intensité. C'est une de mes caractéristiques qui c'est très bon pour moi. Comme that's something for me that I think je peux contrôler ça tout le temps.
Yeah.
Alors, so that's one thing that I always try to, that's my calling card.
Yeah. I like that. Une dernière en français. Donc, si vous aviez roulé 30 jeux par pratique à Calgary, puis là, on est rendu à 180 jeux par pratique ici. Est-ce la fatigue, comment tu... How do you manage that?
Oui, comme tu as besoin de faire attention à ton corps par jour, comme les ice baths, puis les workouts, la nutrition. Mais après comme 4 jours, 5 jours, c'est normal. Ton corps
s'habitue. Ton corps s'habitue.
You get used to it.
Yeah.
Mais je peux comprendre. I can see why Montreal was successful last year, man. I can see now being in this system, I can see why they were so successful.
Look, you played in Calgary at the pro level. That's all you know. Was there any, you signed the contract, but was there any nerves like coming into camp like, okay, did I make the right call? I'm about to find out if I make the right call. And I'm assuming you're not going to tell me otherwise, but I feel after a week or 10 days, do you feel like the right call was made?
Yeah, I knew after the very first time I got here, I knew I made the right decision. But like I said, we're doing 180 plays a day compared to 30. Yeah. And I knew, I was like, wow, it's a different speed. It really is. And maybe those aren't exact numbers. I know 180 is exact.
Yeah, it's a lot, yeah.
But I just know, like, here, I feel it's hard to put that in. Like, I could say it feels perfect here, but that's not the match. It feels better than perfect being here with this team, in this system, with these coaches, with these players. I'm so grateful. I find myself in gratitude, moments of gratitude in the day. It's that perfect of a match for me, and I'm so excited, man, to get into this season. Seriously,
I just want to let you know that 180 plays is long for me too, and I'm watching them. I'm not even participating in them. Yeah. What makes you such a good fit, you think, for what Coach Thorpe and Coach Corvi-Irvin want to do here on defense?
Coach Thorpe and Coach Corvi are extremely savvy. Every day with Corvi, we're doing new drills, new things that translate into not only to the way that we play, but the plays that we're installing every day. I think, and Thorpe, everyone knows how Thorpe is on the field. He's aggressive, but he's extremely smart, and he's technical with what he calls, and the small details, like, I haven't heard anyone really talk about it, but the small details that he includes into every single play is insane, man. Like, I'm taking notes on things on coverages and protections and just things I never would have thought of, with football IQ, with respect to that. Now, in terms of my play style, I don't ever, I'm a 100% effort guy, but I'm also, I have power, I have finesse, I have different things that can equate well to what he does with certain blitzes, just different ways that he wants to execute pressures. I believe that I'm the right guy to get knocked back into the backfield, to create chaos and indecision in the offense. I think I'm that right guy that is going to be there every time he needs me in the play, and just to help this defense, man. There's so many good players on this defense that I'm just excited to be a part of it, to just be able to contribute in any way. So, yeah, that's how I believe I'm going to fit in.
You mentioned, the good players on the defense. I know you've been in the league for 3 years now, but I'm just curious, is there someone, or who's the guy where you got here and you've seen him up close, work every day, and you're like, oh, shoot, I didn't realize that this guy was like that?
Yeah, okay, there's a lot. I guess, like, on defense?
Whichever, whoever kind of jumps out at you.
Duquois is super savvy, super fast. I knew, the thing I would say Duquois, I was here a couple months before, and we were training. So I was with Duquois, I was with Peo, Lestage. I was with those guys, in the offseason at the University of Montreal, and we were training. And Duquois is extremely fast. You don't notice how fast he is until everyone's running at 85%, and he's running at 50, and he's faster than everyone. So I'd say Duquois. I noticed
because he won't stop telling me how fast he is.
No, he's extremely fast. The hair plays a role too, right? The hair plays a role. I would say Duquois is fast. He's got a 5% boost from his hair, and then I would say Bev and Stubbs. I've been with Sankey in Calgary. I've been with Lemon. Oh man, Moose, Mustafa, man, those guys there, and there's I could say anyone, but I would say up front and up close and personal, I'd say Mustafa is a force to be reckoned with, and I haven't seen a player like him up close in the league. I'm not even trying to. I'm being so serious. He's such he's a force. Bev is super fast. Stubbs is super savvy, and all those guys, man, are just incredible, man. So I can't wait to actually. Even seeing Ruff again, seeing Ruff's IQ on the field and a lot of in coverage and seeing how he dissects things, it's awesome to see. So, yeah.
I won't stop telling people whenever I do an interview, on someone else's podcast or radio show or whatever, I tell everybody Mustafa Johnson is the most underrated superstar in the league. It's because I get it, it's the nature of the position, but when that guy's going, I mean, there is nobody, no guard, no double team, no triple team. There is nobody that's going to stop that guy.
Yeah, and people don't see him outside of football. Like, he's a nasty player. He's 25 years old, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
People don't see him outside of football. Like, this dude is in here lifting after practice every day.
Yeah.
Like, every single day, he does the right things. He's a good character to be around, and like he's a good teammate to have on the field. Like, he don't bullshit. Like, he's gonna, if someone's messing around, he's gonna let him know. He's just man. People don't see it. Like, I understand why he's so successful. Like, and he's 25. I think. I don't know how many years he's been in the league. Maybe 2.
I think this is going on year 3. I think he joined halfway through 2 years ago. So this is year 3 or 4.
Yeah, it's a steal for Montreal. Honestly, he'll be in the league a long time, and he's I'm excited to see what he does. During how he impacts the plays, because and I play with Dylan Wynn also, right? Before he's doing what he's doing now, but playing with Wynn too. He's an ultra destruct. Those guys are destructors in the middle. They're destructing any pulling guard, any drop back pass, anything any run. There's something getting messed up. Yeah. So it's awesome to be with those guys, and he's definitely up next.
How do you think Saturday night is gonna feel for you coming out of the birdcage for the first time at Percival Molson Stadium with the good guys? Are you a guy to get nervous?
No, not nervous at all. I'm really excited. I might say anxious would be a word, but not in a bad way. Just feeling excited, more on that end of the spectrum for anxious, for the game. I've been there. I watched me and my friend that I went to Cégep with. We went to the Vanier. I think we went to the Vanier Cup out there,
Montreal McMaster 2014. Maybe, was that it?
Maybe, yeah. And it was at Percival.
Yep.
And but I watched it there, and then I played there last year. But man, I honestly, just being in the city just feels like home. Anyways, I was talking to the guys today. I'm like, I can't wait to go home. To Montreal, right? To my apartment.
Hey, I've seen you. We've bumped into each other. You're trying out some restaurants. You're living the Montreal life right away. You came a few weeks early, and you're living the life out there already.
Yeah, honestly, and there's still a couple of little spots I got to try. I've heard it because we talked about that breakfast spot, the Millman spot.
Yeah, that's right.
And then, of course, as soon as you told me that, I heard another one right after. Someone was like, "You got to try Millman's." But no, I've been smashing Bosa. Maybe 20 times since I've been here for I've only been here for 2 months. And Bosa, I don't know how they get down or who they're sponsoring, but if they want me to solely switch my Instagram to Bosa post, I will do that. But Bosa, Arthur's Brunch, man, I'm definitely getting down to it with the food.
The issue is that I've had just as many sandwiches as you have in the last 2 months, but I look like this and you look like that. I don't know how that works, but
180 plays, man. 180 plays.
Yeah, I got to see if Coach Moss could let me in. I just, the only thing is just nobody touch me. No contact.
You need a quarterback jersey.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But I don't want to throw either because then my arm's going to be sore.
Exactly. Maybe you just switch your Cody Fajardo jersey and you'll be all right. Just run some quarterback runs.
Thanks for this, Isaac. Appreciate it, man.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
Merci encore une fois à Isaac Adeyemi-Berglung. Thank you to Isaac Berglund. I mean, I think that's the first time I've done a half English, half French interview, and that was fun. Really impressive level of French for a guy who didn't start speaking the language later on in his life. And after we put the microphone away, he told me that he's done a couple interviews in French this week, and he feels like he's getting better. Donc, Isaac Berglund a appris évidemment à parler le français un peu plus tard dans sa vie. Il était adulte ou jeune adulte quand il a appris à parler le français, mais je lui ai parlé après cette entrevue-là qu'on avait fait un peu plus tôt cette semaine, et il m'a dit qu'il a fait une couple d'entrevues en français avec les médias traditionnels et que déjà, il sent qu'il s'est amélioré. Donc, il va être parfaitement bilingue très bientôt, je pense. All right, so we'll move on to the English portion. Look, we got to this a little bit earlier in French, but I just want to make sure we cleared it up. But um, injury wise, from an injury standpoint here with the Alouettes, there's 8 players that are not going to be in this game. Najee Murray, Wes Sutton, Tyrell Richards, Frederick Antoine, Reggie White, Shedler Furvius, and Mustafa Johnson and Dylan Wynn. So I'll say this: there's a couple of guys that I'm keeping my eye on here. Guys who are going to get an opportunity to play, maybe an extended opportunity to play, because of the injuries here. Um, we know the big names. We know the Philpotts and the Julian Grants and all that stuff. But, guys that I'm going to keep an eye out on here are TD Moultrie. 97 was here last year, played in a couple of games down the stretch. He's the one who forced the fumble that Sean Lemon scored a touchdown on in Ottawa. I want to say that was late September. Where's number 97? He's a guy at defensive end that I'm keeping an eye out on just because I think that there's an opportunity for him to either make the roster, earn himself a spot on the practice roster. And as we saw last year, anytime that you're on PR, I think everybody who was on PR, almost everybody who started the year on PR ended up playing games except for the global punter, Reese Burns. I think everyone else who started the year on PR ended up playing. So, getting on PR might be disappointing for some guys at first, but I mean, in an 18-game season with short weeks, making the practice roster is pretty much as good as making the active roster because at some point you're going to play. Aaron Lynch is another guy at defensive end I'm keeping an eye on. 31 years old, played in the NFL a long time, been out of football for a while. But he's a guy that comes with a pedigree, 21 career sacks in the NFL. Got to see him up close this week. Huge, like absolute monster. Got to be about 6'4", 6'5", whatever the case may be. He's over, 270, 275. I mean, he's a big, big dude. So, although, maybe it takes a couple of days for him to get into camp and get into, mid-camp form, I'm really curious to see what he does in the game because I think he's gotten better as camp has gone on or as the week has gone on. So I think that, he's interesting. Kevon Bennett was here, made the practice roster last year, returned home in the middle of the year. He's back this year. Thought he's looked explosive in training camp off the edge. So those are 3 defensive ends I'm kind of looking at in this game to see who's going to make plays, who's going to be stout in the run game, who's going to get after the quarterback, who's going to disrupt the timing of the offense, the opposing offense. So, that's somebody, those are guys that I'm really looking forward to seeing. I think obviously on defense, in the middle of the defense, I think Jeffrey Quentin-Arcou, the first round pick this year, he's going to be a really interesting guy to follow. He's a guy that I like. I want to see more of. I know he got into camp a couple days late, but I feel like he's picked things up really quickly after having a workout with the Miami Dolphins. So I want to see him. With Richards not playing in this game, I think it'll give Quentin-Arcou even more time on the field to make plays. And so I just want to see in a real life game situation where he is and where he finds himself. So I think, that's another guy on defense I'm interested in seeing. Trevon LeBlanc is another guy, a veteran of the NFL, kind of like what we were talking about previously with Aaron Lynch. But Trevon LeBlanc was in the league a long time. He's a 29-year-old corner. And he's going to get the start in this game. I like what I've seen from him. Not the biggest guy, but he has really good cover skills. I'm a fan of this player. I'm rooting for him to make this team. I do think, even though he's a little bit older and he's not considered a rookie because he did play in the NFL, I think this is a guy that can definitely help in the secondary, especially if Najee Murray and Wesley Sutton are not available to start the year, which we don't know if that they are or not, but we know that they're not playing in this game. 45, Cosby's been real good at a pick 6 in the intra-squad game last Saturday, so definitely want to see him. Going to see him play. He's a guy that, again, I think he's somebody that can compete for a defensive back spot in the starting lineup. And if worse comes to worse, it's on the PR. I think you saw last year how many defensive backs the Alouettes went through. So there's no doubt anybody who plays on PR, like we said before, or starts on PR, you have a really good chance of playing at some point in the season. Yeah, and then offensively, I think, the offensive line, pretty much almost everybody coming back this year. It'll be interesting to see, how quickly that they can gel and if they're going to pick up where they left off last year, kind of like the way they finished strong last year and in the playoffs, even though they had a couple of injuries with Pio Lestage and Landon Rice. Thought McGloster and Phil Gagnon played really, really well. So I think that they're going to be able to carry that momentum into the regular season, but we'll talk about that as the year goes on. 76 Rambo, 88 Lindsay, 83 Wayne. These are all receivers that I'm looking at. They're newcomers. 81 Barbone. Those are four guys that I'm looking to see. I think they're going to play a lot in the second half. So I really want to see if they can go out there, make plays in a real game situation, and see if they can earn themselves a spot in the starting lineup. Can they upset anyone? Could they dethrone anyone? Can they go out and grab that spot vacated by Austin Mack? I think time will tell, but it's a first real live fire action for those four receivers in particular. So those are the guys I'm looking to see what they can do. At quarterback, Fajardo and Evans. Davis Alexander is a guy that, if you remember, this is his third training camp. The first two preseasons, he's been unbelievable. The preseason games, he's had comebacks. I remember his rookie year, led the Alouettes down the field to take the lead in Hamilton late. That was his first game ever. And then the following week, I want to say it was against Ottawa, but who was the receiver that he hit down the field? Anyways, man, this is going to bug me. But he made a big play with his arm, got the Alouettes into scoring position, and they ended up scoring the game-winning touchdown at home in the preseason against Ottawa. I remember it was Rich Jean Giraud, the former Montreal Carabin running back, scoring the game-winning touchdown, and it was all Davis Alexander that led them there. And then last year, same deal. We saw a really confident Alexander during the preseason game. So that's the guy I'm keeping an eye on. I know Fajardo, what he's going to bring. I know to a certain point, I think Caleb Evans has a high ceiling, and I think he can get better. He's a young quarterback too, but we saw him start 2 games last year, so I know what he's capable of. But I want to see Davis Alexander in a new number, wearing number 10. I want to see what he's capable of doing with whatever work he's going to get in this game. And speaking of Davis Alexander, I had a chance to catch up with him a little bit earlier on in the week, and I started this interview by asking him, year 3 now for him, how is it different? How does he feel different than the first 2 years? Here's Davis Alexander.
I think last year I had, honestly, a pretty rough camp adjusting to the new offense, new terminology, new personnels, all that stuff, new motions that I've never seen before. And this year I feel, very comfortable, and I feel like, I'm making decisive decisions. And a lot went into the off season. I kept my playbook from last year, and I was peeking at it quite often because I was like, last training camp was pretty not acceptable to my standards for sure. I know I had a pretty good preseason, but it is what it is. Yeah. I would just say I feel so much more prepared. Comfortable, I can actually tell guys what to do instead of second guessing, and that came from last year and just being with Cody, being with Caleb, Coach Moss, AC, and yeah.
What's the toughest thing about learning or what was the toughest thing about getting the offense down? Like, what can you put it in simple terms for our fans who've probably never handled the playbook? What's the tough thing about learning a new offense?
Yeah, well, first year, you're learning a new game, and it's right. It's football, but it's it's slightly different rules, motions, all that stuff, multiple guys motioning, and then you come second year thinking you're comfortable in offense, you get a new offense again. Yeah. It's just little terminology, and it's the little details that can throw off your mind so much, and then your mind gets thrown off and you're worried about the wrong things. You're worried about your fourth read instead of what your actual first read is, because you're unsure about your fourth read. So it's just little stuff like that.
Can you give us an example? I don't know. Can you give us an example of, you're going to get into the huddle on Saturday. Can you give me a play call maybe from last year that's changed? Like, can you take us into the huddle and explain to us as if we're your receivers, your backs, your offensive line? Like, give me an example of a call that you wouldn't give. Play? Yeah, that you wouldn't. You're not going to get in trouble giving away, if that's possible.
Okay. Yeah. So if we just went here, I'll give us a fake play. How about that?
Sure, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I just don't want you to give anything away.
Yeah,
but just to give, I want to give our audience an opportunity to hear what the quarterback has to regurgitate.
Yeah, you know? So this is probably one of our simplest plays, right? And it's a fake name, okay? But we'll go spread right, put us in a 3-by-2 formation. And we'll go burn, which is for our protection, but it's also telling us fast tempo. We got to go. And we'll say Matt Stafford as an example. Matt Stafford, now everybody knows what they have, okay? Matt Stafford isn't a real play, but I can't give you a real
one.
That's
fine. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
That would be one of the simplest plays out there, you know?
Can you give me an example of, people's names that you would use in a like, just that you don't have to tell me what the play is, but just what are some of the names that you guys use as to describe protection or a player or whatever?
Yeah, we got literally everything you can think of. We have Butter, we have Rice, we have Geno Smith, Lamar Jackson, really? We have Hungry, the country. We got all kinds of stuff. We got every car you can think of, trust me. Every car you can think of. We got everything.
How about if we put in a Joey play? How about if we talk to Coach Moss about that? We put in a Joey, and it's just everybody goes deep, and you've got the strong arm.
That'd be my favorite play.
Everybody how about we call Joey? Everybody's going verts down the field.
That'll be our up tempo. Let's go, Joey. Yeah. Let's go, Joey. Let's do it.
You think you can get that done, or?
Maybe not yet, but maybe in a little bit.
So I should talk to Cody about it?
Yeah, probably Cody.
Okay. Give me your best Cody Fajardo story that I've never heard.
Best Cody Fajardo story. It's got to be clean, though, huh?
No, it doesn't have to be clean.
It's got to
We can censor. I mean, we can censor if you want.
One thing about Cody is, I'll say this. One thing about Cody is he's not afraid to throw me, Caleb, and James under the bus under any circumstance.
The three other quarterbacks.
Yeah. Usually your vet quarterback, he's there, he's trying to protect you.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to throw us under the bus.
Okay, so give me an example of you being thrown under the bus. And to who?
It would probably start with AC. Could be something as simple as us going to get a PB&J before we enter a meeting, and we have a little bit of downtime. And Cody would be like, "Oh, you guys are late. You can't be getting a PB&J during this time." Yeah.
All right, that's not so. It could be worse.
Yeah, it could be. Well, yeah, there's others, but we'll stick with that for now.
The uncensored version, we'll come back and have you on again.
After Grey Cup 9.
All right, that's fine. Walk me through, this was interesting. I was talking to somebody, I told somebody that I was going to speak to you, and they're like, why 17, 3, and now 10? Like, you've changed 3 years in the league. You change number every year, David. What's the reasoning for this? It's not a bad thing. I'm just curious.
I do feel bad because I actually had a fan at the scrimmage come up to me and say, "Hey, I bought jersey number 3 and you changed." I told him I'd buy him a new one. I didn't catch his name, so if he hears this, I will buy him a new one. 17, that was just kind of what I was given because I wore 6 in preseason. Right. Pickett was here. Right. That was Pickett's number. I'll take whatever. I made the team. Happy to be on the team. 3, I really liked the number. I really liked watching VA. He helped me a lot in the short time I was with him my rookie year, and even a little bit preseason because he was in Tacoma and I was training in Seattle. So felt great number. I loved it, and felt cool. Being after VA. I have no problem being like, hey, I want to play a little like VA. Sure. Some people don't like that stuff, but. Number 10, I would have stuck with 3. Number 10's a little more personal, but in the off season, we found out my dad used to play professional rugby. He's South African. He was fly half, which for people that don't know in rugby, like they're kind of assigned numbers by their position. Right. Fly half's like the quarterback, kicker, running back, and they're always number 10. Mm-hmm. So he wore number 10 growing up and playing. And then we found out in the offseason that he has stage 4 lung cancer, and he had a brain tumor. So that was a little bit more personal. And I had never worn 10. I think I did 1 year in like 6th grade. And he always used to be, he was always like, why won't you wear my freaking number? Why won't you wear my freaking number? So I saw the opportunity, and I texted right away. I think a day or two after we figured out as a family. I was like, hey, can I please get, I know I changed again, but please, can I get 10? And they said they'd work on it for me. And so that one's a little more personal, and I'm thrilled about that. He's very happy about it. He won't admit it, but my stepmom said that he was close to tears, so that was cool.
I think the part sometimes about you guys that people don't see you guys as humans sometimes, but I think the part that people don't realize is the sacrifices you make to be away from family. How tough is it for you to I think you're in Arizona for the most part, but then when you leave it, when it comes to the middle of May and you're like, all right, I'm out to Canada for 6 months, like how tough is that, and what's that final week like for you?
I mean, it's always, well, frick, we love Arizona, right? Yeah. We love the off season, when it's snowing feet up here in Montreal. So that, that's one little thing, but it is tough being away from your family for that long. But my whole life I've kind of been used to it with just college football. Year round I was away from home, right? So it also teaches you to cherish those moments you get together. You may only see your mom or your dad or brother or stepmom or everybody, uncle, aunts. You might only see them once or twice, 3 times, 4 times a year. So you just, you grow to appreciate it. But then, you talk about sacrifices, like, even my own girlfriend, Kenzie, she, comes with me everywhere to Arizona. She loves Arizona. So it's not too much of a burden on her. But, she comes to Arizona, and then we go back to Kelowna with our dog. And then, she's got to move and pack her stuff, a month later. Seeing if I make the team, all that stuff, so her life's in limbo, balance too, all that stuff. So there's a lot of sacrifices, all around, but that last week, you're still trying to click into go mode, but you just appreciate everything that's around you, but you also know you've put in the work, so, it's time to go.
I want to finish on football if we can. I think in an ideal world for this football team, the way that it's viewed, it's, Cody stays healthy, Cody plays all 18 games. I know you want to play, and a lot of people don't want to see you play. They want to see the progression. But for yourself, being a backup quarterback, being in that, in that competition, I'm just curious, if you don't play this year, how are you going to measure improvement, and what are some of the things that you want to improve on? And what will a successful season be for you if there isn't obvious real fire game time?
It's always tough, right? I think the way you got to measure it is, I always ask the coaches to be as truthful as possible. I don't want any sugarcoating. I don't mind getting called out in meetings in front of everybody. I don't mind being called out at all, as long as you're truthfully teaching me and you're being 100% honest. So I think that's the biggest thing. Keep listening to the coaches. If I had some pretty good feedback last year. They told me as the year got on, I got so much better, which was great. But again, I don't like to be, all the sweet stuff. I want to be told, what the heck is wrong. What do I have to work on? So that's one part. But I got to stay ready. No matter what, and I want Cody to play too, of course. Cody led us to a Grey Cup. He was phenomenal, and as the year got on, he only got better and better and better, as we all saw. So I'm gonna do exactly what I did last year, try and help out as much as I can with receivers, with Cody, communication with coaches, all that stuff, and then see what happens. All that stuff's out of my control.
Lastly, just your thoughts on this opportunity on Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening at home against the Argonauts. Do you have any idea how much you'll play? How much do you anticipate playing, and what do you want to accomplish in that game?
I would imagine probably a quarter or maybe 2 or 3 series. That would be my guess. I have no idea. It's always exciting, and it sounds corny, but it's truly a blessing every time you get to throw on a jersey. There's no guarantees with anything. So I am always thrilled. Game time is my favorite time. I've had some good preseasons and just want to continue doing that, continue showing that I can play in this league, and then just, move the ball, get through my progressions, honestly. That's one thing that I've grown a lot since being here. Get through my progressions, show growth, show maturity, and just obviously win the game. And if, we need to come back, or we need to hand the ball off, we hand the ball off.
trailing in the fourth quarter. That's Davis Alexander time from what I understand. I'm okay if you get 2 or 3 series. I just need them to be in the fourth quarter. That's all. Thanks for this, Davis.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again to Davis Alexander of the Montreal Alouettes. Nice enough to join us there after a practice at training camp earlier on this week. I want to remind you the podcast is brought to you by Poulet Rouge Carrefour du Nord, located in Saint-Jérôme. If you're coming to the final week of Montreal Alouettes training camp in Saint-Jérôme next week, make sure after practice you stop by this location at 900 Boulevard Grignon, door 4 in Saint-Jérôme. The players love it. I love it. It's a healthy alternative to stopping for fast food or going elsewhere, picking yourself up a burger. Go get yourself a nice bowl of chicken, vegetables. You can get rice, you can get quinoa. The players love it. I see them deliver it to the facility throughout training camp. So if you want to be like the players, you want to eat what they eat, make sure that you check out Poulet Rouge Carrefour du Nord in Saint-Jérôme. All right, that's all the time we have for this week. Merci encore tout le monde pour être à l'écoute. On est de retour à Saint-Jérôme la semaine prochaine après le match hors concours contre les Argonauts. Si vous n'avez pas vos billets pour ce match, n'oubliez pas que c'est 2 pour 1. Donc, si vous venez au stade, achetez vos billets. Vous avez un billet offert aussi. Donc, venez en grand nombre pour ce premier match hors concours contre les Argonauts. Folks, that's all the time we have. Just a reminder that if you're coming to the stadium for this preseason game on Saturday night, just a reminder that it's buy one ticket and you get one free. That's a great deal. Where else are you going to get a better deal than that in Montreal on a Saturday night? Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll be back on the podcast